If this is all working. I'll just go ahead and quickly mute myself to test if anyone can hear me. It seems good enough. So then, we are hopefully audible. And I'm reading from a book on Norse mythology. So today I'll start off by just, dear Lord. So that's so. So I'm just gonna first read off the names of our gods and characters and what they do. So we have Odin, the ruler of the gods, known as the All-Father, the god of battle and poetry. Loki, the son of two giants, a mischief-making trickster. Thor, the god of thunder, son of Odin, fights with his hammer Mjolnir, as everyone knows. We have Freyr, the god of plenty and the sun, brother of Freya. Frigg, the foremost of the goddesses, the wife of Odin and mother of Balder. Balder, the best and most gentle of the gods. Hod, Balder's blind brother. Freya, the most beautiful of the goddesses. Freyr's sister. Njord, the god of seafarers and fishermen. Sif, Thor's golden-haired wife. Heimdall, the watchman of the gods. Idun, the keeper of the golden apples of youth. And we have the giants, Fijalar and Galar, brewers of the mead of poetry, and their brothers. Son 1 and Son 2, skilled smiths, son of Ivaldi. Broken Etrir, skilled smiths. Alvis, knowledgeable about the 9 worlds. We have the Giant King. Lives in Utgard, a great fortress in Jotunheim. We have Hrungnir, strongest of all the giants. Geirröd hates the gods, aka every giant ever. But that guy especially hates the gods. Boy, you better watch out. Suttung, keeper of the mead of poetry. Gerd, renowned for her ravishing beauty. Zai and Skadi, father and daughter known for skinning and hunting. we have the 9. This is just background knowledge for everyone. And we have the worlds. We have Yggdrasil, or Yggdrasil, however you want to pronounce it. We have the Great Ash Tree, Yggdrasil, and the 3 roots that connect all the worlds. And we have Asgard, the Bifrost, or Bifrost as some pronounce it. Midgard, which is the home of the humans and dwarfs. Jormungand, which is the serpents, and then we go to Jotunheim and Niflheim. That's all background knowledge. See. I haven't opened this book myself before, so not sure if I've done in the beginning. If so, I forgot. But for now, I'm just gonna read it. So, in the beginning, there was a king of Sweden called Gylfi. He grew a great deal more than most men and women because he listened to storytellers, and because he was curious and had good memory. He knew that there were 9 worlds, and that these worlds were on 3 levels, like 3 huge platters suspended one above the other, and with an enormous space between each of them. He knew the top level called Asgard, and the middle one was Midgard, and that the bottom one was a dark world called Niflheim. King Gylfi knew that Asgard was where the gods and goddesses lived, and that unless you could fly like an eagle, or a falcon, or maybe a lark, the only way you could get there from Sweden was to cross the swaying road. The 3 strand rainbow bridge, Bifrost. He knew that the human beings and all kinds of animals shared the mid-level with the frost giants, and with the rock giants who lived far away to the north, and with the dwarfs who lived in potholes and caves and rock fissures. And Gylfi had heard that dead men and women lived in the freezing underworld of Niflheim. A hard ride, 9 days and 9 nights downwards from Midgard. Not only this, King Gylfi had also met one of the goddesses without realizing. This is what happened. Sometimes in spring and summer, the king disguised himself so that no one would recognize him, and rode or walked around Sweden to see the country he loved so much, met a few of his subjects, and added to his hoard of knowledge. These are my quests, he used to say to himself, my quests for song and stories and secrets. One spring morning, the king overtook a beggar woman who looked as if she were on her last leg. True, she was wearing a mustard and blue bandana, and had a friendly, toothless smile, but it was all she could do to stay steady on her feet. "Am I all right?" she told the king. "I'm all right, but as dry as a bulrush. I'm just on my way over to the well over there." So King Gaffald helped her along, and when they had reached the well, not far from a longhouse, he drew up a clean bucket of fresh water. The owner of the nearby longhouse had left a wooden mug on the coping of the well for the use of travelers, and the beggar woman courteously insisted that Gaffald should drink first. "Wait," she said, as she stopped and picked up several scented violets and dropped the petals into the mug. Not only that, with shaking hands, the beggar woman loosened a little sack and tied it around her waist, and pulled out a small wedge of crumbly pale cheese and a couple of rather shriveled apples. "Beggars can't be choosers," she said with a tight little smile. "They still taste good." "Yes," said the king, "and it's April, cuckoo months, the very best time to set off on journeys." "Where are you going?" asked the beggar woman. Gaffald shook his head. "I never know one till I get there," he replied. The beggar woman sniffled. "I'll tell you this," said Gaffald. "You've drawn fresh water and scented it with violets and asked me to drink first. You shared with me a few scraps you had. So now it's my turn to do you a good deed." Gaffald spread his arms wide as the king of Sweden filled his lungs with cold air and smiled. "Is there anywhere in Midgard as beautiful as this place?" he asked. "And I'm going to give you as much of this land as a team of 4 oxen is able to plow in one day and one night." The beggar woman's eyes shone as silver as the bulbs of melting icicles. The king couldn't tell what the beggar woman was thinking. They had no idea what the Chichu was disguised. She was the goddess Gefion. And for a while the king and the beggar woman had it along together, but when they came to a place where 4 green roads met, they parted company. Gylfi went west, but the goddess walked north and hurried all the way across Midgard to Jotunheim, grumbled the giant. She waded across the shallow, rapid river known as the Elvigar and trampled on until she reached the farm in the mountains. That's where her 4 sons lived, and they were the sons of a giant. "I've got a job for you," their mother told her sons, and using magical words, she changed them into 4 massive oxen. And when they bellowed, they made such a noise that you would have thought they were trying to raise the floor of Asgard. The goddess harnessed the oxen and led them straight back across the Elvigar, and then through Sweden to the shining green pale. There she yoked them to plow with a large coulter and put them to work. "Pull!" Gefon urged her sons. "Pull! Pull!" 4 oxen pulled and grunted and pulled. They slipped, they slid, and they reeked of sweat. And after 1 day and 1 night, they dragged the whole beautiful plain, the grass, the soft earth in which it was bedded, the plain, steep footing of clay and flint, far away to the west, right into the Shadow Sea. Goddess Gifon told her 4 sons to halt. She unyoked them, and the crust of the land they had dragged there settled into the water, and formed Luscious Island, firm and springy underfoot. Their fun called this island Zealand, and that is how it was created. From the streams all around, and from below and from above, too, when the clouds wept to see how the oxen had torn away the green plains, fresh water seeped and dripped into the earth's wide wound. So the wound slowly became a lake, and the people nearby called it Malé. And that is why the shape of Ziflin fits into the bays and the brights of the lake Malé. When he saw what had happened, King Gifil was shocked. Not only did his people of Sweden depend on all the oat and wheat grown on the fertile plain, but he realized that his own great generosity had been repaid with a trick. In return for his kindness, the old beggar woman, wearing a mustard blue bandana, had looted his land. Much as the king knew, because he listened to the storytellers. Much as the king knew, because he listened to storytellers, was curious, and had good memory, he realized that he needed to find out a great deal more about the gods and goddesses in the realm of Asgard. Why, he said to himself, I didn't even know that they can become cunning and deceitful as human beings. I know how life began, he thought. I've heard how regions of fog and blue ice drifted south, and how regions of blazing fire guarded by the black giant soot spread north until the 2 regions met in the enormous emptiness called Ginnungagap. The ocean, the orange and gold flames began to melt the ice, and licked it into the shape of a terrifying frost giant called Ymir. Those mountains over there, Gefil thought, between Sweden and Norway, they're made from Ymir's bones. The sea was made from his blood, the sky from his skull, and his brains are the clouds. In fact, the whole of the 9 worlds are made from Ymir's body. Yes, I've heard the first gods were Odin and his 2 brothers, Vil and Ve, and they were actually sons of a giantess. One day, they were walking along the foreshore when they came across a fallen elm tree and a fallen ash tree. Odin raised the 2 bedraggled trees and breathed the spirit of life into them. Then Vil offered them keen wits and feeling hearts, and Ve gave them the gift of hearing and smell and speech. So everyone in Midgard is descended from those 3 gods. But as much as I know, thought the king, I still know so little. I want to find out more about the other gods and goddesses, especially Thor, the god of thunder, and how he fights against the giants. The trickster Loki, too. I want to know more about him and his practical jokes. So, in the same spring season, King Gefil set off alone from Sweden. After walking for 7 days through sweet-smelling woodlands of pine and silver birch, and sleeping in old barns, he reached the foot of the swaying rainbow bridge, Bifrost. Before the king stepped onto the bridge, he decided to disguise himself, because he had no idea what awaited him. He crouched and murmured magic sounds and meanings so soft that not even the gossiping wind could hear him. He changed himself into a stumbling, bumbling tramp. "I'll call myself Ganglier," he said. "Ganglier, yes, footsore." Before Ganglier had reached the outside of the bridge, Heimdall, watcher of the guard, whose eyesight was so keen he could spot a seal swimming in the ocean hundreds of miles away, blew a blast on his horn to warn the gods and goddesses that they had a visitor. "I walked up from Midgard," Ganglier told Heimdall, "and it's far than far. I'd be welcomed here." "That depends on why you've come," Heimdall replied. "Find out." "Find out?" "Yes," said Ganglier seriously. "Everything." Heimdall smiled, and Ganglier saw that his teeth were made of gold. "Enter," said the god. "Go under that gateway and follow the wide path beyond you. You'll come to a huge meeting place, a hall with a roof made of overlapping golden shields. It belongs to our ruler, Odin. At the entrance of the courtyard of this hall is a man. Of this hall, a man was juggling with 7 glittering knives. "Who are you?" asked the juggler called out. "Ganglier. I've traveled all the way from Midgard." "Never been there," said the juggler, without taking his eyes off the knives for one moment. "It's farther than far," Ganglier told him. "Well, I'd be welcome. Whoever comes in peace is welcome," the juggler said. "Not that living man or woman often come this far." "What is this place anyhow?" Ganglier asked. It looks 10 times as large as the place of the King of Sweden in the palace. "It's Valhalla," said the juggler. I'll take you in." Still juggling, the man led Ganglier into a vast, rather smoky hall, and courteously stood aside so that the guest could lead the way. And even though he hadn't closed it, the king heard the door slam shut by itself. Ganglier passed men sitting at long tables, playing chess and checkers and other board games, drinking mugs of ale and elbow wrestling. And beyond them were a pair of men wrestling and practicing swordplay. The king rubbed the smoke out of his eyes, but as he turned to ask the juggler who they all were, he saw that the far end of the hall, a most extraordinary sight. Not one, but 3 high seats, each placed above the other, and each with a bearded figure sitting on it. "Who are they?" Ganglier asked the juggler. 3 wise kings," the juggler said. "They are not as great as the gods, but they are greater than humans." Ganglier looked puzzled. "Where did they come from?" "I cannot say," replied the juggler. "The wise ruler in the lowest seat is called High One." "High One?" The middle one is just as high, and the top one is third." "Third?" replied Ganglier, frowning and smiling and shaking his head, all at the same time. "You could say that they are 1 and 3, or that they are 3 and 1, depending on how you look at it," said the juggler. He laughed and, still juggling, turned his back on Ganglier and walked out of the hall. "I don't know what you mean," Ganglier said to himself. What's the difference?" Then Ganglier picked his way up the hall, and the 3 wise kings gazed down at him. "Whoever you are," the High One said, "you are welcome to eat and drink with us." Gladly, Gangler said. I've come from farther than far. Farther than far, the High One repeated. Why? What do you want? Answers, replied Gangler. Even before I eat or drink, I must have answers. My questions aren't easy ones. Is there anyone here likely to be able to answer them? You've come to the right place, the High One told him. If we can't answer them, no one can. Please, step forward. I know there are 9 worlds on 3 levels, Gangler began, and I know that the gods and goddesses live in Asgard. Can you tell me, who is the foremost of all the gods? All-Father, said just as high, Odin, the god of inspiration, god of magic, god of brave warriors. He and his brothers, Vil and Ve, created man and woman from 2 fallen trees. They found on the 4 shores between the round earth and the rings of the sea. To serve Odin as children served their father. For 9 nights he hung on the great ash tree Yggdrasil, and to win knowledge of the magic runes. And at the well of Mimir, he sacrificed 1 eye to win yet greater wisdom. High One added, Odin, yes, rumbled Three from the topmost seat, but he has 100 other names. The Terrible One, the Shouter, and Spear Shaker, Flame-Eyed and Deep Hood, Death Blinder, and Magician, and that's a devil of a lot of names, interrupted him. Gangler interrupted him. Who are the other chief gods? Very long ago, just as High replied, there were wars in Asgard between the warrior gods and the gods who safeguard green growth and harvest. Here and all over Midgard, we call them the green and gold gods. In the end, all the gods made a truce, so our chief gods come from both sides. Thor, son of Odin, he's a warrior god, High One began. I've heard of him, Gangler said. Everyone has. Thunder god, people say. Without him and its hammer Mjolnir, the giants would attack and conquer Asgard. He's certainly one of the chief gods, the High One continued. And so is Freyr, leader of the green and gold gods, and his beautiful sister, Freya. Who was Odin's wife then? Frigg, said High One. She is foremost among all the goddesses, and the mother of the best and most gentle of the gods, Baldur. Yes, said just as High agreed. And Bragi, the god of poetry and eloquence, and Air, the god of healing, and there are gods of bravery and justice, and goddess of love and marriage. And how many gods and goddesses are there then? Asked Gangler. 13 gods, 13 goddesses, High One replied. Thorwin cleared his throat. Not forgetting Loki, he said in his deep voice. Yes, I've heard of him too, and how he plays his practical jokes and makes everyone laugh, Gangler said. Loki is not altogether a god, Third explained. He's the son of the giant Farbauti. I don't know. But he lives with the gods, and he can shapeshift and make himself as small as a fly. And it's true that he used to make everyone laugh for a long time, just as Hire said. Loki kept getting God into trouble, but he always helped them out of it. But that changed, Third said in a low voice. Loki has changed. He's become bitter and cruel. He's the enemy of the gods, and they have imprisoned him. For a while, the 3 wise kings sat in silence. King Liffy, disguised as a tramp called Ganglier, stood in silence. Then High One showed his palms to Ganglier. "You are welcome to eat and drink with us," he said. "Gladly," Ganglier said. "But first, you said the gods and goddesses shape and guide the lives of humans and beings in Midgard." "They do," agreed High One. "But are they friendly with some of the giants too? And with dwarves and elves? And what about the dead?" Just as I sighed. "Have you ever heard anyone ask so many questions?" he said. "Some giants we call rock giants," I want to explain, "and some we call frost giants, and they are all as bad as each other. Brutes, numbskulls. What they want is to destroy all the gods and goddesses." Just as I added, "And yet," Third rumbled. "I was coming to that," interrupted Just as High. "A few gods and giants have made friendships, even fallen in love. Have you heard of the goddess Gifon?" High One asked. "Gifon, yes, Gifon," he mumbled. "She has 4 sons, and their father's a giant. Blunt as bludgeons," Just as High went on. "That's what giants are, brutal. But the dwarves? No dwarf ever does anything for anyone else." High One told Ganglier. "Not even another dwarf. They are lustful and grasping and greedy, especially for gold. Not every god is wholly good," Third explained. "And not every giant or dwarf is wholly bad. Think of who you are at your best, Ganglier. That's when you're most godlike. Now think of who you are at your worst. That's when you're most like giants and dwarves. That's when the Third's last words were drowned by a clang clatter in the body of the great hall of Valhalla. Ganglier turned around and saw dozens of men had got into their feet, shouting, and were overturning benches. They had bunched into a scrum, shouting and fighting. Third stood up in his seat. He raised his right hand, and almost as suddenly as the uproar had broken out, it began to subside. "These men are heroes," Third told. "When they were killed on a battlefield in Midgard, they were chosen to live again here in Valhalla." "Chosen?" Ganglier asked. "Who are chosen? Who chooses them?" "Odin's beautiful young women, the Valkyries. They bring the bravest warriors back here to Valhalla. Before long," I once said, "Odin will need them. Here and now," Just as High said. "They are angry and upset because they're so hungry and thirsty. They can't begin to eat or drink, though not before guests in this hall has begun to eat." "Ah!" exclaimed Ganglier, shaking his head. "In that case, I must ask you later. We've already told you more wonders than we ever told any other human being," I want to announce. "We'll tell you no more." Ganglier lowered his eyes. "Just one last question," he pleaded. "I've heard there's a world tree, great ash tree Yggdrasil. No one can say when it was a seed and a sapling." Then as I replied, "But we know that it has 3 roots. One here in Asgard, one in the world of the giants, and one in Niflheim, the realm of the dead. We call it the World Tree and the Guardian Tree," I once said. because its branches spread over all the 9 worlds and cares for all of us and guards us all. As we have explained, said Third, Allfather hung from that tree for 9 nights. And when he came back to Asgard, he told the gods, I hung from the wind-swept tree, the gallows tree. My side was pierced with a spear. I was sacrificed to Odin myself. Myself to myself. Gangler shook his head in wonder, and he told the gods, Third added, that he had learned 18 magic runes. All the gods met beside the topmost root of Yggdrasil. As this hike continued, they met there each day and consult with the 3 Norns, the 3 women who decide when each human being will be born and what will happen in their lives, and when they must die. Must whatever begin also end? Asked Ganir. All at the same time, the 3 wise kings stood up and stared down at Gangler. Now you know more than anyone else in Midgard, they pronounced. Gangler realized that all 3 of them were speaking in unison, as if they were one voice. 1 and 3, 3 and 1. More than anyone else in Midgard, 3 kings repeated. And you must share it. Not only this, all around you in Sweden and throughout the northern world, there are stories about the gods and goddesses. Give your life to seeking. Invite people to your court and tell them. And ask your scribes to write them down, so that when men and women and children will never forget them, you must share them all. But then Gangler heard a grinding and roaring as if the walls of a hollow were collapsing. He put his hand over his head, hunched his shoulders, and screwed up his eyes. And when he opened them, King Gefil was standing back in Sweden, in the open air, alone, surrounded by a sea of waving grasses and bobbing windflowers, buttery gold and kingfisher blue and scarlet. There was no hall, no juggler, no mysterious wise kings, nothing but a story and a beginning. Well, I'm now the part where I give my voice a rest for a bit and I play a game. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not sure my voice did. I plan to... Life is an endless torment. I will show you everlasting peace. I will show you all death. Show you. And that me, nerd. Oh, you bow down to death? That's nerd talk to me. Should have gotten rid of this guy. That was my bad. See how this works out. This should work out. I was worried for a moment that I couldn't do something, but now I can. Thank goodness. It was a last one. It's my turn. And death. No kill quite like overkill. Seriously, it's just satisfying.
And so, posing as Sir Thunderblade, Godric has emerged victorious. If he were not so consumed with worry, he would be overjoyed. at receiving praise from the Emperor himself.
Brave Sir Thunderblade, you have proven yourself, your strengths and prowess on the battlefield. Join me in the Great Hall. We shall throw a feast to celebrate. Thank you, my Emperor. It is the highest privilege a knight can ask for. Finally, I shall see the Emperor and set him straight about my father and this absurd war with the elves. A suggestion, Master Godric? It may be wise to hold your tongue. Play the role of this Thunderblade character a little while longer. Seize the Empire. But why? We don't yet know his motivation. Is he the mastermind of this foul business, or is he being misled? It is true. I don't know the Emperor's mind in these matters. They say that it happened on his order, but if I continue to pose as Sir Thunderblade, perhaps I will learn more than I might as Godric. Talongard Castle is just north of here, Godric. Of course, you're gonna say that. That's the classic thing friends do sometimes. Is a joke, but sometimes not. You shall be crucial. The writer tells me of a great offensive being mounted along our borders. Count Carlisle, you say? The Count has filled the void left by the passing of Lord Edward. Friend, no, I curse his black name. At first I could not believe that he would betray me, but Count Carlisle has convinced me otherwise. Speaking of the Count, I have a task that I wish for you to trust. The King's crown is a powerful artifact. I wish to give it to Count Carlisle as a gift for his tireless effort so late. Please deliver him for me. Shall, sire, but yes, Sir Thunderblade, you have something to say? No, sire. With your leave, I shall make for Count Carlisle's keep. Now then, to go stab a man. That is the only acceptable move. Stab him squarely in the chest. And or deeper. Yes. What was it I had before? What lame artifact did I have before? Face you. I'll face all the nerds. I must level up. I'm currently level 10. I need to be a higher level. It's unacceptable to go fight the boss without being maximum level. That way, you don't have to try too much. You can just punch him as hard as possible and cave in the entire Western Hemisphere. It's a much more efficient strategy. see. Hardly lay a scratch on me. Now that should deal a good amount of damage. Falling turn. 2 linked. 1 combined as well. That looks like enough. Just barely. Barely enough, but enough. Ah, so there is another match. Nerd. Big nerd. That's a bit annoying. I think I won. Possibly. I could have lost. I'm not sure. I think though that I did win. It's all up in the air. Oh, I get artifacts. That's neat. I just like to battle. Let's see, so... Why am I suddenly thinking about like a hair metal grunge band? I'm pretty sure this doesn't even exist. It's like one of those weird shower thoughts. think. I'm trying to think like which group was it, which species is the best defensively. I want to say it's either the dwarves, and the elves, or the necromancers. Holy charge. Not as powerful as mine. And death. There's nothing more for me to do. I'm at maximum level. My angels aren't. Wait, no, whatever. We're powerful. We're cleaning house. I say we just go ahead and do this. Hey, nerds. Proceed inside the heap. What? Where are you, Master? I've been waiting for hours. Yes, can hear me. Carlisle. Remember when you grow impatient? Yes, sire. I'm sorry, sire, but I have good news. I have carried your plan off without a hitch. Excellent. The Griffin Empire will be mired in enough war, and my actions will go unnoticed. Soon demons will flood the world once again. The loyal will be exalted, and my enemies annihilated. Till next we speak, Lord Bloodcrown. Lord Bloodcrown. What the name? No. Have you ever heard of it? But I've heard enough. Carlisle, I'm here to put an end to this madness that you have tried to stir in my beloved empire. You are the knight, the one that took the tournament today. How dare you enter my keep? Do you realize who I am? You are a slanderer, a traitor, and an enemy of the Empire. And soon, you will be no more. Advise the Emperor to hang you for this insult. Sir, whatever your ridiculous name is, the name is Godric, son of Lord Edric. Naughty. The fact that you remain alive is an oversight that I shall immediately reprimand. Allow me to show you a very small portion of the power and riches my master has given me. We nerds? How dare you summon these nerds into your own court? You're not only a traitor, but a foul blasphemer. You're just an irritatingly self-righteous. Oh, Father, how dare you speak his name with your forked tongue? Of nerd. words. Get in my playthings. Wait, playthings? Seriously. I'm now confused. And I'm gonna kill him. Won't stop me from killing him. Yeah, I think there's gonna be a short stream. And it's for a very simple reason. I don't like to just beat my enemy. I like to crush them beneath the heel of my boot. At the scum that they are. I believe this is the best way to accomplish this. Because even if they survive that, bunch of goons were about to rush them. It's satisfying, in a way. You have an annoying habit of refusing to die, boy. I shall simply have to speed up my plan to kill the Emperor and take his place. Then I will have you executed in the main square, and no one will lift a finger to stop me. Let's get it. Get the goon! Carlisle means you assassinate the Emperor. Hurry to the Emperor's castle and toward his views. Heal all charging attack formation back to full power instead of in. Oh. Goon! He's nothing. Nothing. And 2 levels below me. Nothing. All of that in one turn. What a great start. Yep, after I beat Carlisle, I'm gonna stop this short little thing. An hour this little bubble. You've done nothing to me. You've taken a very small percent of my health. Meanwhile, I have murdered you. You were nothing. You were nothing but a small, and I mean small, microscopic even, annoyance. When you die, now that you're dead, I want you to know that. I'm telling this to you as you die. So you know that you were nothing to me. Ah. More goons! Now I'm insulted. Why did they send so many goons to me? Good amount of power. And a good amount of moves. Okay, so and there's my method in action. There wasn't even a chance they were surviving. It was fast, vicious, and thorough. Now that we're done with those nerds. The sword guy is actually kind of, in my opinion, one of the worst. Takes way too long to charge up to be worthwhile in the end. Now watch as he immediately just runs his train on me. Like, I heard you were talking crap. Oh no. Ah! Now then. Let's see. I'm gonna go through these goons. Then I'm gonna go through another goon. Possibly. You then beat Snot from the goon that is the Count. Oh yeah, he sends out a little bit of a shockwave. Death. It's not just delivery. It's death. Hot and ready, straight to your doorstep. I strongly disagree. I'm running at you. I'm coming. Going all the way. Start him here. Count Carlisle. What's the meaning of this interruption? Shut up, golden man. It's over, Carlisle. Give it up. Sorry? I haven't seen anything yet. Ready for another display of my master's power. Lord Blood Crow. Give me the shape-twisting rod. Gave me the shape-twisting rod. Forge the lava pits of Shiggoth. Oh, I don't know. I need only wave it, and I will transform into a powerful beast. Oh.
With a wave of the rod, Carlisle is transformed. Though not into what he desired.
Not into what he desired.
Inexperienced and arrogant, Count Carlisle is unable to control the rod's dark, ancient magic. It twists his body into a hideous lump that opens its maw wide to swallow the Emperor whole.
Oh no. It's Vor. No, DeviantArt, stay back! The Emperor's not into this. Covers 3 spaces. I think this will turn out well. Let us see how much damage you do. Death, I think we're doing death currently. Yeah, that's death. That would be death. See, I told you. A goon. He lasted about as many turns as the average opponent. Two special units. Done. Nothing but a goon. Ugh, disgusting. Sir Thunderblade, thank Elrath you arrived. There's no such knight. By the name of Sir Igneous Thunderblade. It is I, Godric, son of Edric. Godric? You are dead. I was told you were dead. I have been told many things. My lord. Most of which are lies. Fed you by Carlisle. And your father was not a... My father's loyalty to the Holy Griffin Empire was never wavered, sire. Carlisle was scheming to take over your throne and gain control over the Empire. He said and did anything he could to bring about this end. With the help of a strange monster named Lord Bloodcrown. An emperor must be both strong and wise. But I've proven myself neither. Others were deceived as well, my lord. The elves believed it as readily as you did. And now they, too, seek peace. And they shall have it. Just as your family shall have its honorable name back.
With the thanks of the Emperor, Godric has seen his father's honor restored.
Insert Zuko just
He
screaming
is
about
also
honor.
pleased to make friends with Prince Alexei, his future emperor. Yet, all the while, he thinks of the Silver Cities, as love and loyalty drive him to seek his lost siblings.
It would be nice to find those siblings. I think I'm gonna save. And I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. It was fun.